we're filmmakers, authors, and photographers, into the evolution of consciousness of humanity. So we have a film series called In Search of the Future, the series, and we've prepared a episode called Cosmic Contact, because in our world, contact with our cosmic family is imminent, as far as I'm concerned, as far as people we highly respect. It's what's up for humanity. So we've made this.
Let's ask a quick question there. How many people here know about Steven Spielberg's new film?
No.
Wow, interesting. Because it's a huge sensation in the US, and it's called Disclosure Day, which is the day the United States government discloses all of the information they've been withholding for the last 80 years about flying saucers, UFOs, ETs, and all of that. And it's very interesting. It seems certain that we are not alone on this planet. Humanity is not the only sentient species, etc. Just wanted to check on that, 'cause that's important, because this little 30-minute episode that we'll share will give you an idea of what's going on this planet as we potentially prepare for contact. When we say cosmic contact, we're literally talking about contact with species from elsewhere. You may be entirely skeptical about that. You may know nothing about it. You may know a lot about it. It's something that is going on, and it appears that we may be preparing to meet beings from another dimension.
Okay, so he's given you a sense of that. So we've created an episode for our series called Cosmic Contact, that ultimately is about preparing people for understanding and opening their hearts to this possibility, so that you're going to experience that 30-minute film this evening. And we've also written a book called The Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. So the evening is called Cosmic Contact and the Trust Frequency. And this trust frequency, what we say and understand is that our cosmic family is awaiting the opening of the human heart and us accessing a higher frequency where we come in contact. They can't come save us from ourselves. We have to go into that higher frequency, choose it. Okay, so our book has to do with giving people the tools to access what we call the trust frequency, which is a paradigm that allows us to walk in absolute trust of a conscious, loving, abundant universe. That it's physics, that it has to do with our vibratory level. Our reality has to do with our vibratory level. And none of you would be here this evening if you didn't resonate. Something brought you here.
On some level.
I mean, you didn't even know the name of what you were doing. Like, what am I doing? I'm driving to Karen's house and I don't even know why.
I don't even know Karen. Actually, we're in the wrong house, aren't we?
So is anyone aside from me here old enough to remember the 60s?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So do you remember that Beach Boys song, I'm Picking Up Good Vibrations?
Yeah.
When we say the trust frequency, we're not speaking of that in sort of a hertz or megahertz scientific way. We're speaking much more in that 60s parlance of vibration. So when we're in a higher vibration, our hearts are more open. Actually, the world changes. We are so attuned to the world, and not everybody knows that. But when we raise our vibration, we're open to a very different reality. So that's a big part of what the book's about. So the trust frequency, because most people are operating from some level of fear. It's a frightening world right now. There's a lot going on out there. We all know that. So if we can absolutely, as Connie used the word absolute, if we can absolutely trust whatever it is.
Without a doubt.
What if suddenly the sky's full of ships and them landing, and we've been expecting them, people have been talking about this for a very long time. So that's a part of it. And our series is called In Search of the Future, and it's not just about UFOs and ETs. By no means. It's about anything relevant to the future. How are we going to live together in better harmony with each other, with nature, for example? How are we going to handle economics? Every subject to do with the future of humanity is part of what we will be presenting in these, and it'll be in the autumn. We'll be releasing the first, this is sort of a preview of what it's going to be, and then once a month there'll be an episode released, and then there'll be these online conversations. So it's building a forum where we can discuss these extraordinary things that I just think are the most important things in the world. And what could be more important than ETs? If they actually showed up, that would be the most transformative thing that's ever happened to humanity.
Yeah, if we get into
Imagine
that frequency, see, we say the trust frequency, the laws are expanded in the trust frequency, in a higher frequency. Okay, so the technology that they've evidenced, I don't know, where are you all at with the possibility that we're not alone?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody, are
Yeah.
there any real flat out skeptics here? I mean, the like impossible, the ridiculous. Anybody? I mean, so the technology that they've evidenced with
is interesting.
their technology that they've evidenced with their ships and what their ships can do and all that stuff. Obviously, they have access to laws of physics that we don't understand. And our prevailing understanding has gotten us in a lot of trouble right now. You know, the energy, okay, we drive energy, we drive our stuff by oil and nuclear and all this stuff that isn't serving us ultimately. So going into a higher frequency where the laws are expanded, a lot of our problems are going to be solved because we're going to have access to new laws of physics, new energy sources, new abilities that we can't even imagine right now. So it's a very exciting time for humanity in that it's going to be huge, shifting frequencies into that frequency and into relationship with our cosmic family. And we can use a big change, a major change. And what we say is in the trust frequency, it's a completely new reality. It's not fixing this one. It's going into a new reality where the laws are expanded and there's more beauty, balance, joy, and abundance than we can fathom. And because we're manifesting from our, we don't know, but we're not in this lower frequency paradigm of fear, separation, and scarcity that our whole systems have been created on, it makes total sense that we've created these systems. So no shame, no blame, humanity. We've done a great job given the information we've had in this lower frequency of separation, scarcity, and fear. So that's how we approach it. So we're not saying they did that to us and they're telling lies and it's a big lie and all that stuff, because that's just low frequency. That just perpetuates the lower frequency, a lower vibration energy. So what we say is, okay, the Earth is shifting into a higher frequency. All these solar flares, I don't know if you're aware of solar flares, the energy on the planet. The planet is shifting in vibration and frequency. And there's more information available now, and we're getting that we're one. And the modern science is proving that it's a holographic fractal universe. I don't know where you're at with that. That we are the universe. You know, that everything in the whole universe exists in the smallest sub-Planck scale. I don't know where you're at with any of that. But science is proving that we're one, and we're starting, that veil is thinning so that we're getting it because the information, the frequency is rising. So it's a whole new reality when we get that we're one. We're not going to have war. We're not going to fight with ourselves. It's going to be absurd. And there's more abundance than we can fathom. So there's no one to fight with and nothing to fight over. So peace on earth is a given. So that's what we're our work is about helping people get into that frequency of absolute trust in a conscious, loving, abundant universe.
Which is very different from, I'm a scientist by training. I was told by professors I was required to trust all the way from high school that the universe is basically a sort of giant clockwork machine system that contains consciousness, certainly contains life, certainly, but it's not itself alive and is not itself conscious. And therefore it doesn't even know I exist, and therefore it doesn't care about me. So when we talk about a conscious, loving universe, that's the polar opposite of what everybody who was raised in the Western science paradigm was taught to believe. And it's a big, big jump to realize that it's actually the complete opposite. We actually do live in a living, loving, conscious universe. It's alive. This huge thing that we're a part of is life itself. It's pretty extraordinary, and it just blows the previous assumptions out of the window.
Yeah,
she knows.
So,
but also, because we are part of this universe, and also, the light that gives us this life is a sparkle of the universe. That's how I see it.
yeah.
And we're not separate from it. So
No,
as
absolutely
Connie,
not.
because it's fractal, if you know what that means, it means that everything on every scale, from galaxies to the tiniest little specks, everything is contained in, it's like Rumi, the great teacher Rumi says, you are not a drop of water. You are the universe in a single drop. I didn't quite get it right,
Yeah.
something like that. In other words, everything is contained in this tiniest fragment. It's counterintuitive. We cannot really experience it that way, but it's actually a deep truth.
So what we'll do now is we'll go over a few of our assumptions. So see, it's 10 assumptions for a new paradigm. So we'll just go over this construct briefly, that one can take in and see what one thinks of it and what it does, this construct, these 10 assumptions for a new paradigm. They take us into a reality that's beyond good and evil, right and wrong, victim, perpetrator, to understanding that it's all love, even the things we see as not love. Okay, so in the consciousness field, and I don't know how many of you are hearing, well, it's all love. Well, if God is love and God is everything, it means that everything is love. We don't use the word God, but that's God is love, God is everything. That means everything is love. But what about all the things we see as not love? Right? I mean, all those things, we don't name them because we don't give them power, but there's a lot that we see as not love in our personal relationships, in the universe, in how everything that's going on, right? There's so much. So this construct actually takes us to understanding that even those things that we see as not love are love. That's a huge leap. Okay, it's the one last big vibratory leap for humanity to enter that field that Rumi talks about here. Rumi, again, out beyond right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. You know that quote? Does anybody know that quote? Out beyond right doing and wrong doing, there is a quote. I'll meet you there. Lying down in that field is too beautiful to talk about. Even the word other doesn't make any sense. That's not it exactly, the last part. I don't have the last part done. But that's what this construct takes you to, takes one to, if one accepts it as absolutely true. So we're not saying it is, and we're not laying a trip on anyone. We're just saying, okay, here's some ideas that if you take them as absolutely true, there's only one answer, and that is, it's all love. So,
But we do have a very different, we'll explain this, we have a very different understanding or a usage of the word love. So the first thing we do is we call them the definitions. We use certain phrases in a way that you won't find in the dictionary. So we'll explain those things. And love is maybe I think probably the most important of those. We actually use it, love with a capital L. And it's a completely different thing from the feelings I have for this beautiful person, for example.
Human love, for the love.
We're not talking about human love. We're
Compassion,
talking about
love.
the love with a capital L that is the universe. It is the energy of the universe.
Is that from a sort of like the Buddhist approach would be similar?
It's close to that, right?
There's a work of Satish Kumar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He speaks of
there's
vertical love.
there's only one reality, but there's billions and billions and billions of different perspectives on that one reality.
Yes.
So it comes through in
And
different
vocabulary.
languages. It comes through in different traditions in different ways. Right. So we're trying to find something that's simple and straightforward and scientific that communicates to the average, well-educated human being.
Well,
It's not dogmatic, and it's not tied to any one tradition. It's not religion per se. It's much more simply reality as it is. What is the nature of reality?
Yeah, and it's not that we went seeking it. It sort of came through to us. Spirit bringing us information about it. So we're just really reporters of what we've been shown. To indigenous cosmology, visionary indigenous elders came into my life in the 90s when I was looking for the missing pieces of our paradigm. And I saw through them what I got was the true nature of the universe. So their whole thing, I don't know how many of you have any idea of what indigenous worldview is, what their way of life is, but it has to do with the giveaway. You give away, you don't hoard. You know there's more tomorrow. You have no possessions. Sound familiar?
So like John Lennon.
John Lennon was describing this frequency, okay? So I got it. When they did the giveaway, that you give a grandmother something, she's just going to turn around and give it to someone else. It's just there's more tomorrow. You don't hoard and give away, and you give away. So stuff like that, I just saw through them that they were describing what's coming on the planet. So I see big pictures, and it just became very real to me that this is what's up for humanity. So that's just me and how I see things and how I processed it and what I'm bringing to you. So it came through indigenous cosmology, and then quantum science. Someone said to me at one point, have you read The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot? I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a book for laymen about quantum science. And 3 people asked me, and the third person put it in my hand, and I actually read it, and I'm like, oh my God. It's describing what these elders have been desperately trying to get us to understand. So that's what our book is. Are these 10 assumptions are a synthesis of the two. It's not one or the other. It's something new from the two of them. So we're just going to go over it briefly so that we can screen the film and then have a good chat afterwards. So he mentioned love, so the capital L. And then, yes, darling?
Can I take over for a second?
Sure.
Okay. I think it's important to see our book there. It's called The Trust Frequency, and it has a subtitle, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. And there are those who say we should never make assumptions. You heard people say, do not make assumptions. On a certain very human level, that's true. I shouldn't assume that because because you're running late, you don't like me, or whatever the crazy things our minds come up with. But the fact is, we all make assumptions. We have basic, fundamental understandings about the important things in life and the non-important things in life that are critical. And we all grow up being kind of programmed by our culture, by our parents, by our religions, or whatever it may be, perhaps to be prejudiced, to think that people with a different skin color are to be feared or not to be trusted, or whatever it is. There are just so many, or those things such as, I'm not good enough. All of those things that were programmed into us are assumptions that we make as adults, and those assumptions actually control the decisions we make. in our lives. Every decision we make is sort of through a filter, or through a lens of the assumptions. So this book is really about looking at our most fundamental assumptions, starting with the nature of the universe itself. So, 10 assumptions for a new paradigm. So an assumption is a belief that we take to be true without question. Right? That's an assumption. I believe it. I'm sure it's true. And no matter how deeply I question it, I'm still going to discover that it's true. And what's a paradigm? When people say we need a paradigm shift. So what's a paradigm? What's a new paradigm? A paradigm is simply a collection of assumptions. A paradigm is constructed of the assumptions, and they're different for each culture, for each ethnic group. If we were pygmies in the Congolese jungle, we'd have a different set of assumptions that would add up to the reality we experience. So the paradigm that contains our belief system, our worldview, this is the important word, worldview. Our worldview is dependent on those things which we assume to be true, that we collectively agree upon as a group. And it could be simply a group of people who get together for tea, and we have certain agreements, though it goes on every level. So that's what this work is about. And it's really critical, because in our culture we've not been taught or trained to question our assumptions. And this current reality we're seeing in the world out there is based on assumptions of fear and separation and competition, and the list goes on and on.
Scarcity.
And especially scarcity, right.
Yeah.
And none of those things, when you really look at them, are true, are real.
In a higher frequency.
They're as true as you believe them to be. So if you believe them to be true, if you
Then
believe
that's
there's not
the
enough.
reality you live in.
Right.
See, the belief determines your frequency and thereby your reality. So one of our other definitions is humanity. That we are a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who have chosen to incarnate on earth on our journey to wholeness, self-love, self-acceptance, and alignment with our divinity and our purpose. Okay, so that's a key piece of this construct, that we've made a free will choice to come on the planet. We've given permission to the conscious loving universe to take us on this journey to self-love, self-acceptance, alignment with our divinity and our purpose. So we have a whole online course called The Dance of Souls that applies our trust frequency construct to our relationship with ourselves, others, and the universe. So we came to see our light and our shadow, the things we love about ourselves and the things we don't love about ourselves. So that removes the victim from our life, who we incarnated to, what we've experienced in our life, etc. So that's a key piece. We're not going to go into that right now, but just keep that in mind as you feel the victim of circumstance, of people in your lives. It's all really a gift to show us our light and our shadow.
This is a very big shift from
huge.
Being victims of circumstance to being beneficiaries of circumstance. Circumstance, even though we may hate it at the moment things happen, every time you look back and say, wow, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened. Joseph Campbell, you're aware of Joseph Campbell? Mm-hmm. At one stage in his life, he was on one of Bill Moyers' interview programs. He said, this is Joseph Campbell, he said, there were three things that happened in my life, and at the time they were the disasters, and they all began with a D, and I think one was a death and one was a divorce, and whatever they were disastrous. And at the time they were horrific and the opposite of what he would have chosen. But they put him where he was that day when he was speaking, and with that perspective of time, he could look back and say, that's what made me who I am. So that circumstance intervening, we think we're on a path from A to B, and all of a sudden, boom, something comes out of the blue and hits us. and it's this girl driving a pickup truck, and she turns out to be my wife.
Down the road.
Just as an
Anyway,
example.
yeah.
That didn't happen, but that kind of thing. So to understand circumstance as something that's on our side, it's the universe sort of pulling the strings and helping us along the way.
Absolutely.
Helping us to make decisions that we can't see from our limited perspective.
So we'll just go over the first 4 assumptions in a little package, and then we'll watch the film.
Okay.
And so our first assumption is it's a conscious, loving universe. There is only love, which we just touched on. Okay? All right.
Yeah,
Second assumption.
We live in a conscious, loving universe. Just that one assumption, if it's not your current understanding of the nature of the universe, changes everything. Conscious means it's alive, it's aware of us, it's aware of everything, it is all that is, and it's alive. That's an extraordinary change.
Yeah, there is only love. Okay. The second assumption is the nature of that love is unconditional. It gives us everything we ask for. Okay, but wait till number 3. Okay, number 3 is, okay, what are our requests to the loving universe? Our consciousness. And we have 8 aspects of our consciousness that begin with the letter A, that we say are our requests to the conscious, loving universe that loves us so much it gives us everything we ask for. Well, guess what? It's physics. These 8 aspects of our consciousness determine our frequency, thereby our reality. We couch it, we say, okay, it's the conscious, loving universe giving us everything we ask for, but in fact, it's physics. It's just that simple. So these 8 A's, we used to have 7 A's, and a friend of ours who actually lives in Avebury here, a top cosmologist, said, you need to add 1 more A. So now we have 8 A's, and I'll say them in a sentence. They all begin with the letter A, okay? So with expanded awareness and accurate assumptions, we choose our attitude, consciously direct our attention, align with our highest inner promptings, attune to the universal energies, take committed action, which is the kicker, to act from that place, and allow the loving universe to manifest beyond our wildest dreams.
So if anybody ever asks you what is consciousness, that's a pretty good answer. We actually broke it into these 7 or 8 different attributes or aspects. And if you go to the dictionary and look up consciousness, it says consciousness is awareness. And if you look up awareness, it says awareness is consciousness. Oh, right, true. But that's very, very limited circular thinking. So we managed to sort of analyze it into its different components, because a part of our consciousness is, just to take one example, attention. Where I'm putting my attention on Karen. That's consciousness in action.
So the dog wants us to stop now. So we'll stop now, and we will give you guys a break. Okay, say one final thing.
The one final thing is, and the next assumption is, we create reality with the power of our consciousness. Think about that. We have that power. We create reality with the power of our consciousness. Now, I'm not saying some mad voodoo thing, we do this and the tripod jumps up and down, although that can be done too. But we are that powerful because we're part of the universe, we're part of the universal consciousness. And that whole illusion of separation that makes us think we don't have that power, we are that power.
Yeah, and it's our responsibility because we're part of the collective consciousness. It's our responsibility to keep our consciousness, our vibration as high as possible, to feed the collective with the highest vibration we can, so which removes any shame and blame for dipping down, etc. But the highest vibration we can to help the collective get to that frequency where we make cosmic contact. And we'll screen the film now,
Okay.
and then we'll have a chat about it all.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Yeah.
Welcome to In Search of the Future, the series. Cosmic Contact. This episode is on the subject of aliens, UFOs, NHI, which stands for non-human intelligence, and all of these mysterious subjects that have been intriguing and puzzling humanity for a long time. That's the theme of this episode. And Connie?
Yes, well, we're just so excited that humanity has reached the vibratory level where contact with our cosmic family is imminent. As we open our hearts and align with that frequency we call the trust frequency. So everyone just listen up, ponder your avenue into the future.
And here are some friends of ours who are pretty darn amazing. I think you'll agree. Here we go.
One of the things that's really excited me about the potential for the future, what's coming, is over the last 4 years, I've been living with and interacting with the Kogi people. And for those who don't know, they're one of the most remote tribes on the planet Earth. But in particular, they speak of being the star people. And living in their villages, they have stones where they have carvings of the entire universe and where different star systems are and such. And they have incredible stories about how they traveled from those stars to where they are now. In fact, one of the really interesting things for them is their most sacred thing is the conch shell, because they believe that the conch shell is a map of the galaxy that we live in and that everything is placed on it. Well, the reason this stuff about the star people and things really touches me is, number one, the Kogi say that they carry the wisdom of the star people and that they intend to come into the world, which they have started to do, and to share more and more about our potential as human beings for the future because of the wisdom that they are bringing to share, which came from the stars.
Come to us every time. When I was a little fella, the one must have been this high, and I was about this high. And he stayed with me for 4 years. And if you ever felt the touch of frog, his skin is the same as the frog.
Okay, when I was about 16, 17, in 1968 was my first eye contact with a 3 to 4 story eye spaceship. Now this ship was silence, not going. It was just hovering there like that. And that's what got me, the sound. There was no sound. So I was using my inner dimension to look inside. And they were doing the same to me. They was reading me and I was reading them.
of what ET contact is about, and I can speak from experience because I've had it for my entire life. And since I do remember coming in and incarnating in, contact for me was natural. I was waiting for the beings to come because it's family. It's a family connection. And we can get caught up on, just because of what's in media and whatnot, we can get caught up on the technology, or we can get caught up on, maybe too much that's in the mind. And one of the things that I can share about contact is it's very much a primordial part of ourself. It's part of our ancient DNA. And when that gets stimulated, that ancient DNA gets stimulated, there's a reconnection, and this reconnection that's occurring in our body. And it's on such a unique level that goes on within our body that, of course, our mind changes and things shift. But what you can do is you can go out and you can go in the night sky, you can even go in the day sky, and you can ask to receive, you can ask to make communion, you can ask to make connection. And if you can ask in a way that's very genuine about a reconnection within yourself, there's a good probability it's going to happen. And so, for example, if you happen to be, let's say, thinking of a loved one, maybe that you haven't spoken to for a while, and maybe somebody that you have some disagreement or discordance with, but someone that you do love, that you do care about, and then all of a sudden you feel a feeling in your heart, and let's say you look up in the sky and you see a ship, you see a flash of light, and you see something that you know is specifically meant for you. That's part of that confirmation. And so contact doesn't necessarily have to be a ship coming down, a being coming out, shaking your hand, and then, giving you everything about life. That's not what this is about. The initial steps, those initial phases, are about a genuine reconnection within our heart, with the people around us, the people that we are here to also serve and support. That's what I know contact is about. And it's available to anybody and everybody who seeks and wants that connection as we're evolving here on Mother Earth and as the cosmos is evolving with us.
We're all just cosmic humans, laughing and crying, learning and being just who we are. We're human, but we're also made of stars. We're made of stars.
I had an extraordinary experience. Amongst other extraordinary experiences, this one ranks very high, because it had to do with, on the third night of the Palisades Malibu fire recently, devastating apocalyptic fires. I looked up from my balcony and I saw out over the ocean what I thought was a meteor coming into the earth. There was a stratospheric halo as it entered. And I immediately was watching to see if it would fall, but it didn't fall into the ocean, it turned, and it drifted behind these very large, dark smoke clouds. I had photographed this orb, whatever it is, about 15 or 20 years ago. And because it was handheld, it was bounced all over the place. I could not get a good shot. But this time, knowing that, I ran up, I put my elbows down on the balcony, and I took my camera and aimed it. Well, I was aiming at the clouds. I wasn't expecting anything, but this orb suddenly came out of the clouds and was moving closer and closer to me. I was having that inner sense of like, is this a good thing? But it was directing itself at me. It lasted for 7 seconds. And what is astounding, because the experience itself was so remarkable and tied into, on an apocalyptic night like this, the fires that I had experienced directly 6 years before. And the narrative, the underpinning story during these apocalyptic times is that there is a pulse, there's something that is triggering a transformation, a type of metamorphosis. And I was very, very moved by what had happened to me because I took the film, the 7 seconds, and I went frame by frame. And I started to see what is a classic UFO light ship, classic alien with the big heads and the large eyes, and then sigils and glyphs and phantoms and ghosts. What it was a type of wave of suggestiveness. And I started to think about what is it in a plant? What's in a frog? Why does a frog move from being a tadpole into climbing out onto the land? What is it in a flower that goes from a bud to a blossom? And this is what I started to discover because my home, my art, has all grown out of this sacred location because I live on Chumash, ancient Chumash, sacred land. And because I do, I've always felt like a custodian. It's not mine to own, it's mine to caretake. And in that response, I feel this is what the ancestors here desired as well. Not to own, but to caretake. And that's why this orb felt like a gardener or a guardian. It wasn't something that was meant to show up and say, I am this. Because everything in my work, everything in my art having to do with the language of the watchers, the crop circles, all of these elements do not stay. They don't leave a signature because essentially they are trying to trigger our curiosity. They're not trying to fill in like a parent would, oh, this children is what you need to know. It's the very things that are not stated, that are implied, that leaves it up to us to put the story together. So I put the story together. Here I am on sacred land at a time of incredible fires once again. So this is not something that you can resist. It's something that's upon you. And this is what the apocalypse is. It's upon us. But if we don't look at it as something that is awful and negative, although that fire was awful and negative, but realize that the counterpoint to what's going on is to get us to trust that we're to develop a relationship, not by answering a mystery like a whodunit, like Agatha Christie, but actually answering the mysteries of life, which, like love, are not figure-outable. They are that which we must allow because it's not the head. And this was what was fascinating for this orb. I realized whatever was triggering in me was not personal. It was part of my symbolical human structure. Because if you think about it, what is it that triggers a flower to blossom? It's not told to blossom. Something within the organism itself begins to respond differently. So my sense is that the UAPs are part of a leavening process. It's not an invasion. It's a type of catalyst, meaning that only if we discover that it must be through ourselves as human, that we determine the relationship with these qualities, that will we begin to mature. Otherwise, we are essentially allowing ourselves, like children, to say we are not that. And the truth behind all of this, yes, we are. We don't live in a linear reality. We live in a holographic reality. Everything is expressing this truth. And when we understand that, there's no there in a hologram. So what we do is create coordinate points and places of interaction where we can create forms of communication. And this is what's happening. The communication is not to fill in what's missing. It's what is not there for us to bring out of ourselves the answers that can't be known through someone else, because it's how do we establish a relationship within ourselves, trust our own energies, and realize that relationships that can't be proven, don't stick around long enough to point your finger at, are not doing that because it's wrong. It's doing it because we're maturing. It's not showing up to fill in. It's showing up to draw out. And that's what my art is. The questions I asked, literally, I drew them out.
It must be so silly for aliens to look at humans and be like, wait a second.
Aliens have a lot of patience. Aliens have a lot of patience because we are very far ahead. And so humans they're just trying to find their way, and we're letting them. We're letting them find their way. We're being patient about it, okay?
Some would ask, why be patient when you could just intervene with all your technology and just like help us?
Free will.
Earth has the contract of free will, and so they cannot intervene unless we ask them.
Unless we are asked, blatantly asked for help, we cannot intervene because it is your destiny.
Also, though, there has to be like a mass tipping point. There has to be a mass tipping point in order for you to help the collective at whole. So right now you're helping people individually, which is why you come and talk to me, so that I can share share the info with the folks.
Through your music. It's
It's all part of the plan.
In 1977, I was first contacted when President Carter was elected to participate in a top secret report to President Carter about the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence and its possible connection to the UFO phenomenon. That whole activity that I began engaging in at that time led to my being made general counsel for the Disclosure Project, which is a major project to bring together government employees and military officials, etc., to provide information to the press at the National Press Club in 2001 about the extraterrestrial potential presence on our planet. I've also served as legal counsel for Dr. John Mack at Harvard University when he was dragged up in front of a tribunal because of his writing a book about the psychological events around these contact experiences. I now represent Luis Elizondo, who was the head of the top secret program in the Pentagon investigating the UFO phenomenon. It's in that context that I've come to grips with the potential philosophical and theological implications of our human family not, in fact, residing at the apex of all intelligent life in the entire universe. And we're now working in a 501c3 public interest organization that has been created by our Romero Institute to address these profound philosophical, theological, and geopolitical questions that need to be engaged in by our human family in order to adjust our human worldviews, which are extraordinarily homocentric, into a better understanding of our actual place in the cosmic order. This is going to be an entirely new paradigm. This is going to complete the entire octave of different human worldviews that actually place us in a more realistic context for the future, because we have another several thousand years of relationship that we're going to be engaged in with the extraterrestrial civilization, which native people and indigenous people have known for many hundreds of years and have talked about regularly, the star people. So this is an extraordinary period in our human history and in the history of Western civilization to actually begin to finally integrate the kind of cosmological worldview that indigenous people have had. And we are right here within basically 2 weeks of St. Francis, or Pope Francis, having actually denounced the doctrine of discovery, which since 1493 has insisted that the European culture had the right to vanquish the indigenous people of the world. And we now have to start adjusting how we're going to be integrating the bona fide viewpoints of the indigenous people into our view of our human family in Western civilization. I'm privileged to be the head of that 501c3 public interest operation that's going on now, that will be the UFO C3. And I'm in dialogue with people in the United States Senate Intelligence Committee that have now mandated the creation of a new office in the United States government to which all the information needs to be conveyed from all of our U.S. military services, all the defense contractors, all of the intelligence agencies now, so that the Congress of our United States can start to participate in this extraordinary period that we are now engaged in, at the same time that the James Webb Telescope is discovering more and more of these exoplanets, where they're now becoming more and more convinced that intelligent life exists. So this is an extraordinary moment in our human family where all of these forces are coming together at the same time that our human family is confronted by the threats of global climate change, which the indigenous people have been warning us about for decades. that we're contaminating our whole planet, that our human family, right from the very beginning, in moving across the Turtle Island here, we're just laying waste to the environment and destroying the buffalo and leaving them rotting in the sun. The complete disharmony between the European culture and the natural order of things. So this is an extraordinary period of integrating all of these different worldviews into forming a new worldview that can take into account our proper human place in the natural environment of our entire universe.
The portals are opening, the timelines are shifting, the paradigms are transcending. Humanity is awakening, our light is expanding. It's time for us to dance and sing.
We are about to reach the most important moment in our entire human history. We are about to meet our cosmic family. For eons, humans have interacted with non-human intelligence. Thousands upon thousands of people across the entire globe have reported sightings, encounters, and all kinds of cool phenomenon associated with those. And over the past 30 years, I have been communicating with some of our cosmic family, and I'm teaching others to do the same. It's important to think about our future with our family amongst the stars. They are going to teach us, we are going to learn from them, and they are going to learn from us. It's going to be a synergistic relationship. This is the most important time any of us could even possibly conceive. I am so excited to be alive in this moment, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. Humanity is on a strong evolutionary path right now. The divine feminine is coming into our energy. We're starting to recognize each other telepathically, and we're getting signals across our entire planet that it's time for us to make some big changes and think about ourselves in a broader perspective as more loving, kinder, and more friendly to our neighbors across our entire planet, and reach our hands now across the stars.
When do we get to see more of you?
Yeah, when are you coming to the Earth in groups?
Well, the Ascended Masters and divine cosmic beings and the aliens are already here. In order for you to see us and connect with us, you raise your vibration. Through meditation, through loving unconditionally, through communing with nature, through prayer, match your light up with their light and ask that they shower you within their light. It's like creating a tube of white light.
I've been asked a number of times whether or not there is a reasonable likelihood that the extraterrestrial civilization will intervene in some way to try to save us from ourselves. And I always respond to that with this, that I tell the story about a young boy who loved butterflies. And he used to collect butterflies, and he had this huge aviary place out in his backyard where the butterflies could live in their own habitat. And he wanted to find an example of a monarch butterfly, and he actually found a cocoon of a monarch butterfly, and he brought it home, and he put it in a little box with cotton and put lights on it to keep it warm. And it eventually started to develop, and it was the butterfly had developed and was trying to break out of the cocoon, and it was struggling and struggling, and it was struggling against the last silken thread of the cocoon to try to break free, and it was struggling and struggling, and the little boy started feeling so badly about this problem that the butterfly was having, that he got a little pair of shears and he cut the last silken thread that was struggling, that he was struggling against, and the butterfly came free, and it was an absolutely perfect specimen of a monarch butterfly, except that it could never fly. Because as it turns out, it was in the struggle, in that last struggle against that last silken thread, that would develop the muscle structure that it needed to fly. That's the condition of our human family at the present time. We're struggling against the silken threads that we have woven around ourselves, that the indigenous people have been talking about Western culture for for hundreds of years, that we have to break that last silken thread ourselves in order to qualify for the next worldview that we have to come to together, and we have to bring all the people of our planet together in unison to share all of the insights that have been developed down through the many centuries, to really bring to bear to develop this new worldview that we have to have in order to qualify for citizenship in the much larger universal family.
SETI stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And for those who may have seen the movie Contact with Jodie Foster, and they showed those giant dish antennas in the movie, that is SETI. And so SETI was built by our government to interact with aliens or extraterrestrial intelligence. Well, I have a remote ranch out in the wilderness of New Mexico, and just by chance, my driveway, which is nearly 30 miles long, at the beginning of it is where the first aliens of the Roswell incident crashed, literally just off my driveway. And my neighbor out there, a gentleman whose last name is Barnett and was featured on Time magazine about the Roswell incident, is the person who found the first ships that crashed, and also the person who dragged the one thought to be living alien out of the ship and kind of protected him. And then the government came and took him and started Area 51 and took the ship away. Well, Barnett and I got to know each other some, and he asked me if I'd like to see part of the spaceship. And he took me to a barn, and he had some pieces of the metal from the actual spaceship that the aliens crashed in. And he went on to tell me that the alien that he had helped did not speak, but that he could feel its thoughts, and that it was not a malevolent kind of an energy, but rather a loving and caring energy. And he felt very safe with this alien, and his heart really hurt that they took the alien away. Well, the government came and they took into custody all the people that lived in the part of the New Mexico, this is where my ranch is located. They took them all and they deprogrammed them for months, but they did not take Barnett. He ran into the mountains on his horse and they didn't capture him, and then he later shared the story. Well, the government said nothing happened. There weren't aliens, there weren't star people, they didn't come to planet Earth to talk to us or do anything. But I have a question I always like to ask people, and that is this. They built the very first SETI site just off the end of my driveway. So they spent millions of dollars back in the 1950s, maybe it might have been hundreds of $millions today. And then not too many miles away, they built what's called the VLA, the Very Large Array, which until just recently was the largest telescope on Earth that could speak to outer space and the stars. And the question I have is, if there aren't aliens and there aren't extraterrestrials and there isn't extraterrestrial intelligence who's come to help guide us in the future, then why did they spend something over $1 billion building these intense scientific instruments to speak to people in the stars?
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Yeah, what's up?
Are all aliens little gray beings like you?
I get this question all the time. No, there are so many types of aliens. We got Andromedans, Arcturians, Anunnaki, Cassiopeans, Draconians, Lyrans, Mantids, Reptilians, Pleiadians, Sirians, Zetas, which are grays, but so many other types of grays as well. And then don't even get me started on hybrids. That's aliens and humans together. Hope that helps.
It takes all kinds. to make a village.
Yeah, before we have our sort of chat, I just wanted to mention how we see this connecting with the trust frequency. And this film that Spielberg just came out with called Disclosure Day that Andrew mentioned. And it's very interesting because the film, which has gone global, is about human empathy and compassion and accessing those aspects of ourselves between ourselves and with our cosmic family. And I think you noticed in the film, our film, it was all about human evolution, the human heart, connecting through the heart, which is really exciting. That it's truly the whole human evolutionary process is about opening our hearts. And we feel that the trust frequency, our 10 assumptions for a new paradigm really help people to really open one's heart in absolute trust and walk into that higher vibration that Spielberg is opening doors to, that these folks all spoke about, and takes us out of that stigma that it's weird, that it's scary, that all those things that have been keeping us from opening to that bigger reality. So it's all very exciting. Do you have any thoughts to share before we
I always have thoughts. Firstly, I just want to thank everybody for being here, for coming, for paying attention, for giving us the trust to just, give your precious time here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much appreciated. And the next step, as I mentioned earlier on, is to integrate this information. You may, if you had a little time in the last 5 or 15 minutes, to go inside and just have asked yourself the question, do I really believe that? Or is it nonsense? Is it fantasy? Are they hallucinating? Are they on drugs? All of those questions. And or is this something I already knew deep inside me? Or is it something that I knew but didn't have the words for? A lot of people with the trust frequency have said they knew that already, but they didn't have the words for it. And they really appreciated the book because it helped them to put words to this reality that they already understood. So what I would like, and I think I'm speaking for Connie as well, is for you to take away from this gathering here just some fresh information, some new ways of being, some new ways of seeing the world. And at the highest level, what the book is, it's actually a manual. It's sort of a how-to on how to actually develop a new world view. Because the problem, we don't like to use that word, the challenge, shall we say, is that we've all been given a worldview that we've accepted that was created by basically our ancestors in other times when there was much less real understanding of the nature of reality. It may have been appropriate back then, it may be completely not appropriate right now. It may be the cause of very dangerous behaviors in today's world right now because people are operating on an outdated operating system. And we're actually operating a new, updated operating system that's much closer to reality from my very biased opinion. Mm-hmm. And not only is it newer and more accurate, it changes everything about each of us from our personal individual perspective. And therefore collectively, as one of us changes, if one person in this room has a sort of a bit of a revelation, we're all connected. Our consciousnesses are actually one. That's not just a catchphrase. It's the truth. And as each of us raises our vibration, as the people in this room raise our collective vibration, we're actually raising this whole town. And it goes on and doesn't stop. Throughout the entire universe, we resonate all the way as far as way beyond what we can imagine. So it's a pretty extraordinary offering here from my perspective. And if you just go away with just an inkling of something that improves your life, makes things easier, because it's a tough world in many ways. And if we can truly, and the biggest word is trust, if we can truly trust that no matter what it is, somebody might be diagnosed with a terrible disease or have an accident or lose a beloved, to trust all of those things that occur and recognize that each of those is circumstance giving us opportunities for personal inner growth. And we lost a beloved friend this week, and a Native American, and total surprise. And that grief, tempered with gratitude for having known this teacher, this beautiful person, and just it just makes it easier. Yes, I'm sad, and yes, I'm grateful, and that makes such a difference.
Yes, and so shall we have a chat now?
Yeah, that's what. So is it?
We'd love to know how you feel and if you've had any experiences with ETs and how this all sits with you. Have you learned something? Has it reinforced what you already know? Because you wouldn't be here if your soul hadn't drawn you here. So we all understand that we're resonating to a frequency that has pulled us together. So we'd love to know from you what your thoughts are.
So yes, I mentioned earlier before we had the little break that this is actually a technique for learning something. To be presented with new information. I've got a feeling that many people here have heard some new stuff in the last while. And then to go inside and just contemplate it and ask yourself the question, whoa, this is not what I thought. And sometimes when that happens, we can replace the previous attitude, assumption, whatever it was, with a fresh one. And then the final phase is coming back into circle and in dialogue, sharing it. So because each of us in this room has had some kind of experience. It might be nothing much, or it might be absolutely cosmic, might be profound. I don't know that. But by sharing it, by sharing our perspective, our idea, our experience, which might just be, okay, I'm okay, or it might be, wow, I've really, really gained something today. And by sharing that, the learning experience is now sort of, what's the word? Better grounded in ourselves as a collective and as individuals. So let's just, we could go what in America they call it popcorn style. It could just be, we don't have to go round the circle in a structured way. We could just, whoever feels they have something to say. And Connie asked an interesting question. Has any of you had an experience that you might describe as seeing something in the sky, like an unidentified object moving in the sky? We did an event like this recently in California, in Arizona, sorry. And there wasn't one person in the room, and there was about 25 people, who had not had some pretty profound experience. Now this was in Sedona, Arizona, where UFOs are 10 dime a dozen, as they say.
And they also knew that they were coming to see a Cosmic Contact film. These folks don't even know why they came. So Spirit brought you.
May I ask a little bit, because I have to think very, very well. Because here in the UK, the energy, Because when I was watching the film and later here, I was just asking questions to Spirit, to be honest. And the energy in the UK is very, very earthy. It's very, very old. And if you go here, you've got lots and lots of spiritual circles. I've been a member for 50 years by myself by a spiritual circle. What we do is connecting with our guides and helpers, with Jesus or Merlin or the Lady of the Lake, which we got a connection with. It's a different energy. But if I get my feeling tentacles out to America, it's actually the way that spirit want to represent themselves, that there is something more than only energy, of there is something more than nothing, let's say that. They represent themselves in a kind of UFO, you know, to give something visible. But, you know, here in the UK, and I'm not from the UK, but I can, you know, it's just, we are more in tune that we understand that there is a different level in every frequency, there is a different level of existence. You know, you can go to Mars, which looks like a red planet, you know, but it is a beautiful planet on another frequency. There are aliens or people of whatever you want to call them, they are living there. Everything is filled with life, and that is how people in the UK see the world. And that's probably different for you in America.
Thank you, that's wonderful.
That. Yeah, because to bring together the flux of the angelic realm, the spiritual realm, the extraterrestrial realm, the ethereal realm, there's so many different levels of dimensional frequency going on all at the same time, crossing over. It's hard to define what is extraterrestrial or what is spirit. So I think they all coexist together on very different fine dimensional frequencies, and it's where we tap in, because we are quite grounded here. We tap into the frequencies of the old, the new, and the weird.
Yes. And if you
and
go,
the unusual.
Yes, if you go to South Africa, then there is a completely different energy again. You're going more to the old people, the original Sang people, you know, they present themselves in your dreams and in your visions. And if I go back to the Netherlands, there is actually not a lot over there, because they're building on the land the whole time, and the water is streaming to it and take almost all the energy away. So every part of the world got a different energy, and it is just where you tap in that energy where you are.
That, in my limited view compared to yours, I was going to ask that question. I'm aware that, you know, love is everything and abundance is out there. We just have to ask and the whole of that. But I didn't think it really connected to the alien side of it, which I was interested in, and I do believe in it. So are they? Do you see them as messengers of something bigger, or are they the be all and end all, bringing this love and abundance and changing our frequency and all of what you said?
I see
They're not
it as
two separate things, are they? One.
Yeah, I see it as us going to that frequency, us getting to that
their frequency.
To their frequency.
Yeah. So it's
an evolutionary process that we're in, taking us to that level that we say we call the trust frequency. That's in that frequency that's beyond right, wrong, good, evil, victim, perpetrator. That's just one more step.
So you saying we have to connect with aliens to do that, or is
no, we have to do it to connect with them.
Yeah.
They're waiting for us to get to that higher level.
So it's all good, even if you didn't believe. I'm not saying I don't, but if you didn't believe in aliens, you still
absolutely
love and ask for abundance and all of that.
Absolutely.
Be going. That's what I was a bit confused about.
No, absolutely.
I don't think there's just one frequency. I think there's many thousands of different frequencies. It's like a radio, you know, FM or AM, and you have to, you know, whatever frequency you can tune into, you're directed to a different frequency with a different embodied being. But it's never the same. There's so many thousands of different frequencies out there, so it's what you're capable of reaching, I suppose, really. But I don't
What you're
see,
tuning into.
Yeah.
Which frequency you're tuning into.
but I don't see it as a pyramid.
No,
I think that's
No.
right. You make it sound much clearer, actually,
Yeah.
by saying that.
And
Yeah, you
to
do.
answer your question in a different way from the other perspective, imagine when, let's use the word when, the aliens actually appear. It will be so beneficial to be in the trust frequency when something that profound occurs in the future. So thinking of the
There's
future,
that.
if we can have moved into a state of trust, of just a higher level of trusting, which brings out kindness and loving and gentle behavior and integrity and coherence and all those things, we then will engage in a way that's a lot easier for us, because it could be challenging. If people suddenly, if you're in fear and they suddenly appear, that's
Mass
exactly-
hysteria.
But you were saying, I thought you were saying, though, that you needed to raise your frequency
Yes, as well.
to meet whatever
Yeah.
that is.
That's the other
So
perspective, yes.
It's not just helpful, it's actually essential that you've arrived at that frequency.
That may be the case, and I'm just saying that if
Okay.
or when they do arrive, it'll certainly help me to be in the trust frequency, to trust that this is okay, that this is the next
yes,
amazing development in human
I don't-
history.
You probably wouldn't see anything or be aware of anything unless you had that openness and trust.
I think that's true too. I think we may have to attune ourselves to these beings in order to see them. They may be interdimensional in some way.
I think so.
Yeah.
There's something interesting happening astrologically at the moment.
Mhm.
Astrologers are saying that 2026 is probably one of the most important years in mankind. And what happened in March was that the outer planets all changed signs at the same time. So
The outer planets?
the outer planets,
Uh-huh.
the ones that are on the
Have gone into different...
they're at the edge of the solar system.
Yeah.
Our solar system. Uranus, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune have all changed signs all at the same time. It's been absolutely unknown that
Unprecedented.
planets would do this.
Yeah.
And serious astrologers are saying that this is a paradigm shift in the heavens.
As well as everything else.
Yeah,
right?
and
Mhm.
a lot of these astrologers are actually contacting galactic beings. Some of them are contacting Pleiadians, is it?
Yeah.
So actually, we can see it happening in the heavens. They're kick-starting something quite dynamic. The astrologers don't really understand what it is at the moment, but they're beginning to feel that it's something to do with us becoming part of the galaxy, rather than just being a planet.
The Galactic Federation.
Yeah, we're moving towards being part of the galaxy and contacting and being part of perhaps galactic civilizations.
Yeah, it's happening on so many
Yeah,
levels, and I
yeah.
guess on July 18th there's another big event, astrological event.
Sounds like the same thing, actually. It sounds like related to that.
Yeah,
It's the
there's-
four
Yeah,
outer
it
planets.
could be another sort of link up. It started in
Some phase
March,
of that.
but I think it's something else is being kicked off later on in the summer as
Yeah.
well. But it's quite incredible.
Yeah,
I was reading
Yeah,
that.
we need all the help we can get.
We do.
For
Was
getting
reading-
out of this mess that we've
Right.
created in this lower frequency.
No, you probably read as well. I've read in books about this idea that there's the 2032 is the big shift. Apparently, we don't know what, but it could be. It's like the peak. We either go down or we go up, and that's not far off. And I think that's fascinating what you just said, because it also says about things have got to get worse before they get better. So at the moment, we're in pretty dire straits in the world, and I do think that we are, hopefully on the up in 2032 on beyond. Yeah. I'm glad I'm alive. Well, I hope I'm alive for the next 6
And
years.
it is,
to see
but
that.
I think
To know what
it's
it's going
happening
to be.
faster than that.
It is
Yeah.
going fast.
Much, much faster from what I understand. I mean, they're talking open contact in
Well,
2027.
by 2032. Probably.
2027, you know,
Oh, okay.
I've been hearing, and you're saying, yeah, that 2026 is a big year, and that open contact's going to happen.
Okay.
But it's almost like we're being faced with the ultimate evil energy, you know, publicly, evil energy with what's happening globally, and we're ultimately like at a loss of real positive, powerful energy. The dynamics are so imbalanced at the moment because we are faced with this, you know, president and, you know, political wars going on, and we haven't got anything that's fighting against it.
Nope.
We've got
Well,
nothing that's resisting it except our vibration.
Well, but that's powerful.
Yeah.
From my point of view, the cosmic energies, the solar flares, the shifts in frequencies, and all the energy that the people who are feeding the collective is powerful. It is what's up. It is happening. It is.
Yeah, the vibrations of the planets will affect us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And feed into us. Yeah.
She's a brilliant astronomer.
And yeah, and we're-
I loved your filmmaking. Really beautiful.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
good.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's really high quality. I'm just curious, did you actually go to Australia?
Oh, yeah.
Because I
Yes.
spent the last 33 years there.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
And,
Where were you?
I was on the middle of the east coast, on the coast.
Uh-huh. Where?
Yeah. In the subtropical region near Wollongong, which is like an extinct volcano.
Yeah, we were right there.
Were you there?
We were way up on Wollongong.
Did you go up?
We did.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a young man we met in Byron Bay who has a property up there.
Wow, okay.
We actually went and interviewed him up there for the film.
Uh-huh.
It's a pretty extraordinary place, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to several cooperatives. We were with Aboriginal elders.
You saw two of them in the little snippet,
Yes,
snippet
yeah.
there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the land there is very powerful, as are the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you English originally?
Yeah, I'm from Watford.
Okay.
But I'm a bit of a nomad. I kind of ping pong.
Yeah.
And my brother's always been into aliens, so it's really
Oh,
interesting. He's
that's
even got
brilliant.
an alien light, you know, on his music. He always had an alien light lit up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just, and I was studying in the last few years the Andean cosmovision, like and they're really in touch with.
They are.
And then the Aboriginals believe that all their stories, like the land, is created by the beings that came from.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting how all the threads come together and
The drawings and the hieroglyphs and all of the native sculptures, they're all representing what is in the star.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the
But the
hieroglyphs tell it all, don't
The
they?
universe is so big.
Yeah.
There's got to be other
It would be
civilizations.
absurd. There's
Yeah, absolutely.
possibly trillions of
Yeah.
universes.
Somebody
even.
once said it would be very scary if there were other civilizations.
If
It
they
would
were not.
also very scary if we're alone.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah,
alone.
Who wants to be alone? Right?
Yeah, we're the most intelligent. What we're doing is the most intelligent thing. So,
like in Denmark, I've seen videos of, and his son was just like, whoa. So I watched the son watching them, and the friend in Denmark, when he raised his frequency, that's when the ships would come and he would ask questions. You come in, Christ did light and that, and sometimes they would stay and sometimes they went. But that's second-hand knowledge. I haven't personally.
Yeah, I've had a strange experience, but can't say I saw anything. I was driving home, lived in Yorkshire at the time, from across a bit of road called Blubber Houses. It's quite dangerous, and you go down a very narrow bit. I remember thinking to myself, I must take great care here because it's very dangerous because it's a steep drop. And the next thing, I was 2 miles down the road and I sort of bumped down and I looked round and there was a whole queue of traffic behind me and I'd been driving really slowly, I thought. My friend was with me and said, why are you driving so slowly? And neither of us remember that stretch of road.
Really?
So I think we're saved from something.
Yeah, that's a classic experience.
You
Where,
think so?
time just goes
I was
away,
like,
and
what's going on, sort of thing.
and you have no images from.
No, just like that. 1 minute I was there, next second I was there.
It's mysterious.
And your friend had the same experience?
Yes, we both sort of, this bump sort of brought us back to consciousness, if you like, and she said, why are you going so slowly? I have no idea.
Do you want to stay in contact?
Oh, thanks.
I taught yoga in the Stonehenge one morning.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And a crop circle had literally, started, was right opposite on the road opposite. So we literally did yoga, walked across the road, and we were in a crop circle, and we all meditated, and we all went out like that. Just all of us. I didn't do any meditation process or anything. We just all went out. And we all came to at the same time, and we just thought, what on earth happened there?
Yeah, I've done it as well.
It just like
the energy in a crop circle.
Yes.
It doesn't take long, and then it's
No.
gone, because the moment everybody comes, the energy is gone. But if you're there in the beginning,
Yeah.
it has a very earthy, connected with the universe energy. It's
And the
almost
pull.
like Mother Earth is pulling up, and the universe is pulling down.
And I've still I've still got a piece of the crop that from when
Okay.
20 when did I go? 2015. So it's still going. The crop.
I'd like to see a crop circle.
That's a whole other mystery, isn't it?
Do you have them in America, crop circles?
Not really.
Not
Oh,
much.
we've got loads
Look,
here.
that's the
There you are,
corn
the wheat.
from
It's
20.
wheat. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
sorry,
It's wheat.
2015. Still.
Special.
Yeah.
I know.
From the crop circle.
Yeah. From the crop circle, still standing up. Still.
But as far as the future is concerned, it depends on children, doesn't it? How can we help our children?
By learning to trust. The single biggest thing we can do is trust ourselves as parents and as
Yeah.
teachers and as leaders, and then teach the kids to trust, because most kids are taught fear, to be afraid of everything, right?
But I think that a lot of children are growing up in a spiritual vacuum at the moment. At one time we were taught, in the 50s, we were all taught, the Christianity. We sang hymns at school, we prayed at school, but now there's this spiritual vacuum that kids are growing up in.
Well, I don't think so, because I've got a grandson who's very, very spiritual.
Yeah.
So my granddad was very spiritual. I'm in a certain way, and my grandson is very spiritual as well.
I think they're already in another paradigm.
They are already
My
doing
grandchildren are.
Yeah.
They're coming to live with me soon.
Yeah.
I can share you the story if you want.
in a
2 years ago, I was in South Africa by my daughter, and I came from the beach with my grandson, and all of a sudden there was nothing around us anymore. We were just in a vacuum, in the need, and saw nothing. And he said to me, Oma, because that's how he called me, and he said, in 300 years time, he said, I have to go back to the earth. First he said, in 300 years time we are dead. I said, yes, for sure. He said, no, because I have to go back to the earth again. He said, but you are so afraid, because it's such a difficult place to live on that moment on the earth. And he said, but you don't have to go back to the earth anymore, you're done. He said, but you're so afraid you want to go with me, but then we found the solution that you become my guide. How lovely is that? And then we were back on the street again, and everything was normal again. And then later in the evening, he said when we had dinner, he said to his mom and dad, he said, Oma and I were in the nothing.
Wow.
And my son-in-law, my daughter are used to it, and they say, wow, that was nice.
And how old is he?
He's now 9.
Wow.
And it's getting less now, to be honest.
How old was he then?
7.
My granddaughter's quite, in that realm, the ethereal realm she connects with. And she loves to wander in the plants, and she just loses herself. She goes into a dream state, walking around with a man who shows her the plants and tells her what the names of the plants are. So I have to listen to what her description of the plants are. That it's not the Latin name; it's something like a really gobbledygook kind of name. But the man's telling her what the plant's called. Someone get tongue on feet.
How old is she, Connie?
She's 4.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, because kids have imaginary friends.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And how imaginary are they? Could they
I
be
know.
real?
Yeah.
The veil is so thin, isn't it, for
Yeah.
them?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the veil is thinning.
Even more.
Yeah.
I hope so, because that makes more people aware that there is more than only this life. I hope
Yeah.
so.
Materialism.
Well, hope has a hole in it.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Trusting.
Yeah, well, I trust, but for now, if you look at the world, it's getting worse instead of better.
Well,
so
that's a
problem.
perspective. But from my perspective, everything serves the coming of peace on earth and heaven on earth. And that's there's a secret purpose to history, that it serves a lower vibration and a higher vibration, that there's only love, and it's all for a purpose. In the native way, everything has a purpose. If you take that as absolutely true, then it's everything is serving this opening of the heart. And this film of Spielberg's, focusing so on empathy, compassion, and the heart, and humanity relating to each other on an empathic and compassionate way, is just a sign. See, I watch the signs. I don't listen to the stuff that's going away. I watch the signs for what's coming, and it just depends where you put where one puts one's attention. It's one of those 8 A's. Where we put our attention is where our focus is and what our reality is and what actually creates our frequency.
Do you think this has happened before? We talk about Atlantis and that other ancient mythology. And we just get it wrong every time, so we keep having to go back. That's how I see it.
Every time in this,
Do you think that, or do you think that this isn't the first time that we've got to this stage?
No, but I don't think that we've ever gotten it wrong. For me, there's no wrong.
Oh, okay, that's all right then. Wrong word. Wrong word.
It's just a process. Trusting the process. It's all
I think we'll get it right this time.
It's all divine. It's all.
Ego has a massive role to play because for me, having a body, or even though I do teach yoga, and the physical self is very important to me, it's the conscious self that is more vaster for me, that I don't really need this body. I've learned to let it become detached from it in a way, that I don't need the body to be a being.
No, when I was a child, I always thought that you came in this body to learn, to trust and love, to be honest.
Yeah.
But also because you was in this body, you was able to learn faster than you when you stayed in the
consciousness.
consciousness. That's what I thought as a child. And I still
Yeah.
I think
there
you're
is
right.
truth in it.
Yeah.
So we chose to incarnate.
Yes.
And our job has been to transmute those energies. So we've had a job to do in this 3D suit to transmute those energies for all of creation. That all of creation is awaiting the opening of the human heart and the release of the love that we're carrying. So it's all good, humanity. That's what I say. It's all good. Congratulations, humanity.
And
We've done a
also-
great job.
Okay.
So have at it.
We get
Rather than shame and blame and humanity. you've
Yeah,
just-
no,
oh
there
my
is
God.
something.
That just takes us down into
What was
shame,
it?
guilt.
Yeah, 7 years ago, I don't know if you ever heard about it. A friend of mine, she started saying, she had a friend who did the Joseph communications, looking up on internet, and she started giving books out, and if you read it, it was all beautiful. And then she wanted to start a talking group, and it was all ego, people wanted to bring things in. But it was also the Joseph communications, it was channeled, and I've done channeling myself, and I know it's not pure. Always your own ego is involved in channeling. It's not possible to close completely from and going in that other dimension and take the information, because the information is actually, we don't have words for it. So we have to translate it in our own words. They only can use your dictionary. But in the books, what he channeled then, there was really a message: never come back to the earth again. Because you polluted, you do this, you do that, and it was really nasty. And I was really thinking by myself from, you know, I always wondering why I came back to the earth, and I feel a little bit sad about that, you know. And then I woke up on a morning, and I was still thinking about it, and all of a sudden I could feel the love of the whole universe, that actually this is your life, this is your purpose, and that's why you have to live with, and that's what you have to go through. And from that time I ditched the Joseph books. I went away from the communication circle and gave the books to somebody else.
Oh, beautiful. That's
it was too
beautiful
masculine, you know. We need that balance between female and masculine. And
yeah, that's what's coming too.
Masculine.
Is that balance in all people, you know, that bringing the feminine into all people, and not just women, but the men. You know, it has everything to do with gender. It's feminine energy in all people. I really object to the whole thing of, well, women are going to lead, women are going to do this. Sorry, folks. This feminine energy in all of us, we need to nurture it in all of us.
Can I ask you, do either of you identify more strongly with a certain species of alien at all? Do you have an affinity?
It's not really not my world.
Yeah,
not
mine either.
Neither one of us, but
interesting.
We're just paying attention to what's happening.
And are you connected with spirit?
Interesting.
Spirits?
With spirit, not
well, whatever, you know, with other beings or other frequencies?
No.
Just spirit speaks to me. Spirit.
Yes, yeah. It's just.
It tells me things,
Well,
and I get things, and that's.
Number. There must be an infinite number, or an infinite potential variety of aliens.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
I think there's 5 main species.
I think it's why I have the idea of sort of, you know, visible UFOs and aliens conjured up. That has never resonated very well with me. That's all, because it's just an idea. It's a suggestion, and then it's been used time and time again. So we recognise the territory sort of thing, you know, this is an alien.
But with that science
they're
fiction,
not necessarily, what's alien is going to be, it could be anything, you know, it could be in different dimensions, it could be everything.
They have to come from other dimensions if they really wanted to give you a physical form.
And our intelligence might not be their intelligence.
Oh, that's right.
To think that we're more, you know, because I don't think you meant it, but you said we're the highest intelligence or something. I don't think we are.
No, he was saying that Danny Sheehan. That well, perhaps you. Yeah.
But I don't think you meant it in that way. But what I'm saying is, I don't think we could assess how intelligent we are, because it would relate to what's needed of intelligence at any one time.
I don't think that my seagulls are less intelligent than me, who live on my roof. You know, animals are intelligent as well, in a different level.
Yeah, I
But
think there are different
the important thing is the openness, the awareness, the openness. I mean, I see it as very positive scenarios that you're kind of describing.
Yeah.
I wonder, though, how, I mean, any suggestion that we can influence the way everything goes is debatable, I think, because I see it possibly as an unfolding that was going in the direction it's going in anyway. You know, we could, but it doesn't negate what we do to try and create love and kindness or whatever, because that's all part of it's all part of what was meant to be, and I've always had this dilemma, and I don't know whether what I'm hearing tonight sort of helps me, that you can spread goodness and kindness, and there's as much as you like, but I feel that in the whole of, well, say the world, but it could be much further beyond than that everything's in balance, so we can sort of make things very good, say, for example, potentially in the world, but there's a counterbalance always.
It's always in balance.
Yeah. So
and whether it's just the world or whether it's the
dichotomy,
you know, the galaxy or the universe, I don't know. So that's always, it's always been a I wouldn't say troubling thing. It's just been a reality check to me that maybe everything is as it is going to be, and that the good and the bad will always be there. It's just whether you kind of
Well,
what you put your attention on, what your reality
well, yes,
is.
but that's only your reality. That's
Right.
not other people's reality. That's the thing.
But you're also feeding the collective.
Yeah.